where all the women are strong, the men are good looking, and all the children are above average. Who knows what I'm talking about here?
I do.
I do. Okay. What I'm talking about is a little town called Lake Wobegon, which is in Minnesota, and actually was made up by Garrison Keillor, who is a radio host on National Public Radio, part of a weekly show called Prairie Home Companion. Today, like Garrison, I'm going to share some eccentricities of Minnesota, and hopefully look at the lighter side of cultural differences. So, this presentation is brought to you in 3 parts. The first part is the really obvious things about Minnesota that you probably already know. What comes to mind?
Snow.
Snow, exactly. So we'll be talking about things like that.
10,000 lakes.
Thank you. Mosquitoes. The second thing will be talking about some less obvious facts, but still commonly known. And finally, some that are downright obscure. So to get us started, talking about the snow or cold in Minnesota is sort of like a sport for us. And in fact, in Minnesota, if your city gets the low of the nation regularly on the national news like ours did, you're thinking, hey, you know, there's something special about us. You feel stronger. It's interesting, too, because I'd have to design my Halloween costumes to fit over my snowsuit so that I could trudge through the 3 feet of snow to go trick-or-treating. Similarly, when you think about the cold of Minnesota, another thing that comes to mind is just the fact that you have to walk like a penguin. So imagine this, it's like you're afraid of falling on the ice, so you're just doing this for about 3 months of the year. So those stories are all true, but we already know that, right? Another thing is the mosquitoes. It's our state bird in Minnesota. And for a Minnesotan, you get used to the bites. You just put a little toothpaste on them at night, fall asleep, it's gone in the morning. Who cares? But for people like my Brazilian husband, they'll bite you through your shirt. And I remember he had 40 on the back of his shirt the other day when I was swatting him off. So for foreigners, for some reason, the blood is sweeter. They'll go after you. Now, in terms of the less obvious things about Minnesota, but still you might have heard of them, there's the Mayo Clinic. Have you heard of the Mayo Clinic? Yeah. So the Mayo Clinic is one of those really excellent places to get treated. We have kings and queens that go there from different countries. We have people who are, you know, the presidents often go there. We're really excited and we just beam with pride when it's a celebrity, though. So that's what we're tracking. But the Mayo Clinic will also serve people from all walks of life, like my mom's Native American boyfriend. And you don't even have to worry about pain. They'll find a way to treat you if you need to be treated. They don't turn you away. Speaking of Mayo, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the food of Minnesota. Now, let's just say the food was built to be hearty, to get you through those cold days and nights. So it leans heavily on ingredients such as cream of mushroom soup in the famous hot dish. And the hot dish is what you'd call a casserole anywhere else. But we throw a bunch of things in there. We throw, you know, the cream of mushroom soup. There's often some Velveeta. For the cuisine, there's some of that canned tuna. It gets even better when you put a little bit of potatoes in there, and then you cover it all with tater tots to crisp those up, and throw some ketchup on it. Ketchup is one of our spices. Our 3 spices are salt, pepper, and ketchup. Ketchup's actually a little spicy for a Minnesotan, but it livens up the white food on your plate. So if I'm thinking about food, I'm also thinking about the fact that nobody knows what you're talking about when you ask for a pop, right? So you have to spell it pop, P-O-P. I'm not saying pot. I'm asking for a soda. So a lot of times that's another quirky thing about the food. Also, when you are thinking about the food, I would say that things like the fish fry, you might know about Friday night fish fries, but what you don't know is how much fish you can eat if it's all one price for as much as you can eat. I can eat quite a few walleye, let me tell you, my plate of white food. There's the delicious potatoes, the white bread, there's some cauliflower, and then, of course, the rice pudding for dessert. So, delicious food aside, I'm now going to talk about some of the less obvious, real obscure things about Minnesota that you might not know. Did you know there's a Bob Dylan sing-along contest at the 400 bar every year in Minneapolis, St. Paul? There's also something that I find personally really interesting called the Eel Pout Festival in Walker, Minnesota. What's an eel pout? Well, we built a festival around a prehistoric-looking fish. It's uglier than a catfish. It's got slime. It actually is covered in slime. And it doesn't even taste very good when you fry it, which is hard to believe. But the eel pout is just a small part of the Eel Pout Festival. Mostly this is about building ice houses that you put out on the lake to fish in. And they build like 2-story, 3-story high houses. They put wall-to-wall carpeting in them. And there's a competition to make it fancy, so they put chandeliers. Honest to God. Another part of the festival is that you take a lazy boy and you tie it to the back of a truck. You go out on the ice and you're holding on to the sides of your lazy boy and they're whipping you around the ice. It's the most fun thing you've ever done. Maybe not the safest, but it's one of the most fun things I've done. So besides the Eel Pout Festival and the Bob Dylan sing-along contest, I'd say another really obscure thing about Minnesotans that you might not pick up on is that they're shy. They're often very shy. So eye contact is something that every boyfriend I ever dated said, "You don't look at me." Well, okay, I wasn't trained to look at you. An extrovert in Minnesota is somebody, when meeting you, will look at your knees instead of your feet. I've worked on it though. I have tried. So as we look at all of these different kind of obscure things about Minnesota, you might be thinking, none of this, these cultural notes make no sense to me. Why is she talking about this? Well, hopefully you're a little bit intrigued. You might think about going on a trip to Minnesota and booking your vacation. But if you're not ready for that yet, at least help me with my entry for the Bob Dylan sing-along contest. Goes like this. It ain't me, babe. No, 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 it ain't me, babe. It ain't me you're looking for, babe. Okay, that needs a little work. But I'm looking forward to your help.